listener production.
Hey, I'm Sacha Barbour Gatt here with you for this episode of The Briefing. If you've spent any time on the internet in the last couple of weeks, there's a good chance you would have seen the rampant memes about a pygmy hippo called Moo Deng.
When her flubber shakes, it's so cute, this tourist says. Moo Deng's name translates roughly to bouncing pig or pork patty.
Chances are you might too have heard of the emperor penguin chick named Pesto that's bringing in flocks of visitors to Melbourne's Sea Life Aquarium.
Here we have Pesto. He is our newest king chick. He is one big baby.
The pair are the latest animals to go viral and garner millions of likes, comments, interactions and memes on the internet. They're adorable, but what do viral animals say about us? Is it as simple as needing a bit of good news and something light? And what about the impacts on the animals themselves? Joining me now to break down Moo Deng and Pesto's viral moment is Dr. Carl Moore from Swinburne. He is an expert in mobile media culture. Dr. Carl Moore, welcome to The Briefing. I know they're cute, but is there something else to their fame? Why is the internet so obsessed with Moo Deng and Pesto?
The obsession with cute animals is kind of as old as the internet itself, at least in the kind of contemporary modern internet that we understand it as kind of participatory, people create content, people share content and can engage. So early viral memes, like a lot of them actually did revolve around cute animals. We had Keyboard Cat, who did the kind of, the thing, play the keyboard, I guess is the thing I'm talking about. Grumpy Cat, like all these different types of kind of celebrity animals or viral animals that come up in some different way. So we kind of had these cultural moments where particular animals spike our interest in some particular way. And yeah, they kind of fit within a kind of contemporary discourse of other social media phenomena that's kind of happening at the time. And I feel like Moo Deng in particular is just kind of resonating with people in a very particular way at the moment.
Yeah, and Pesto as well, which I'm just seeing, my TikTok is just full of these like edits where it's music or like a song or a sound and it's just the animal on top of it and they're getting millions and millions of views and likes and shares and comments. And it does feel like TikTok has started to play this major role in how things are going viral in the 2020s. What's your take on that? Has TikTok changed the game a little bit?
To some extent, yeah. So like part of the way is how it pushes things into the feed. And so part of that is the more people are engaging with something, the more visibility it gets. But to some extent, it's a little bit easier to kind of get noticed. Like there are these kind of hooks that happen and TikTok will push the particular hooks. So some of those will be music, some of them will be kind of like visual representation. So that's one of the things that's kind of driving it is the visual representation of something that's unusually kind of cute. It's like a little bit cuter than what we're used to, but also like, yeah, pinging that or pairing that with particular audio hooks and particular songs, the ability to kind of stitch content together, the ability to kind of edit things in app and kind of create new content, because those are the kind of keys to going viral on TikTok is like TikTok knows that you've used the app to edit it. TikTok knows that you've kind of generated it in-house and it kind of pushes those things a little bit further into the mainstream, into people's For You pages. So there is a kind of technical side to how that's happening, as well as the kind of the cultural side of it. It's just having a kind of cultural moment, but it's also like some songs have kind of cultural moments. They get kind of picked up in a particular way and become part of our kind of cultural lexicon at this moment.
So with all that said, though, and you mentioned it already, is that we have been kind of obsessed with animals and animal memes for a really long time. It's not actually something new. I'm interested in what it is about animals that we love to send viral. So is it just as simple as we're craving something, a bit of good news on the internet, and we see a cute animal or an animal doing something silly and we go, haha, that's funny, it makes me feel good, I'm going to share it, and then everyone else is sharing it too?
Yeah, our feeds are like heavily curated. Our feeds are like heavily kind of commodified. I think we're at a point where we can kind of sniff out things that feel inauthentic. And I feel like animals just have us as humans respond to animals as just an inherently authentic thing. Yes, they might kind of be curated. Yes, like the content that has been chosen to be uploaded to the social media pages of like aquariums and zoos, that's curated too. But I feel like there's something kind of like earnest and honest about an animal. But it's also just like people just like animals. Like sometimes it's as simple as that. It's like they're cute, people like them. The other part of that is as well is like an animal kind of becomes a bit of a blank slate. So people are like projecting their their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions on the animal. So Moo Deng starting to become like a little defiant, like a little rambunctious. People are like, yep, me too, right? So you start to kind of feel your emotions in relating to these animals. I think that's part of it too, is like, yeah, we can kind of project our personality a little bit into these things, which, yeah, for the most part, animals do have personality and we can kind of feed into that and be like, yeah, I can kind of see what's going on there. But I think that's part of it.
Yeah, I want to talk a little bit more as well about maybe the repercussions around this. I mean, obviously, it makes us feel good to see something cute go viral on the internet. And I know for me, Pesto and Moo Deng, like I said, are on my TikTok feed and they're very welcome. And it gives me a break from, all the other pretty awful stuff that's going on in the world at the moment. But as I said, there are repercussions and we've seen people throwing things at poor Moo Deng. She's in a zoo in Thailand and people are flocking to see her and they get upset when she's asleep and they're chucking water and shells at her. And, it's quite nasty and quite mean. And I'm keen to hear your thoughts on, what that says about us. Is it us being selfish where we want these animals to do what we feel we need them to without taking into account the fact that they're autonomous beings?
Yeah, I don't know how much it speaks to the kind of selfishness of human nature. Like, I think I would need probably a different PhD and a different kind of field to talk about the nature of humans. But it does kind of play back into the kind of nature of social media and kind of contemporary culture. So there is a lot of kind of emphasis on this idea of like attention. And I think when you start to take, like, it's like, yeah, that's great. Like, I want to see these things. I'm happy to have those feeds curated. I'm happy, like, as you said, they're a welcomed part on our feed. We're probably going to stop and pay attention to them for a little bit. And that can be good in that, like, okay, it might drive people towards zoos. It might, allow for marketing. It might allow for more kind of conversations around conservation, around animal well-being. But the other side of it is that some people just want to kind of go into that kind of the social media realm where like, I just want a reaction. I just want to see it. I came all the way here. I want it to participate with me in a particular way, right? So in some ways it kind of plays into people talk a lot about the idea of a parasocial relationship. So the idea that like we feel like we have a bond with people that we see on social media because we see so much of them, right? They give us the behind the scenes of their life. They give us, albeit heavily curated, but it's like, this is me, right? This is me raw and here I am. And it's kind of replaced a number of different media kind of industries that existed to give us insights into celebrities. So when we have an animal that hasn't consented to be a celebrity, it's just kind of hit celebrity status, hit virality, people develop these parasocial relationships to them. And so they might project their feelings onto the animal and they might be like, I want you to participate with me in the way that I want you to. Which is not fair, right? Like, I mean, this animal hasn't said, yep, I'm happy to be on social media. This animal hasn't said, yep, I'm happy to be, like, even gawked at a zoo, especially not happy to have water thrown on me. And part of it is, like, yeah, the kind of strange discourse around Moo Deng is kind of like this like, there was a Sephora campaign around, like, the moistness of Moo Deng's skin. I don't know if that plays into, like, the water of it. But, yeah, there is a downside to overly commodifying animals who are just trying to exist in the world.
Do you think overall, though, viral animals and our reaction to them is a positive thing, or do you think it comes with maybe a little bit of a caveat?
Yeah, look, there's a little bit of a caveat to it, which is kind of plays into what we were just talking about. But for the most part, like, most people are just interacting with them online and most people are getting a sense of joy from them. And I do think there is an ability to use these to have bigger discussions about, like, animal welfare, education and things like that. People can kind of use the virality and jump on the kind of platform. So, like, zoos might be doing this, aquariums might be doing this with, like, Pesto, and to talk about animals in particular ways. People do talk about social media as being something that actually can educate people, right? So there is a kind of opportunity for that. I think for the most part, we're using social media as a form of leisure, as a form of just kind of something that fills the gaps within our downtime. But, like, every now and then we might kind of get some interesting facts about penguins and we're like, okay, that might just kind of stick with me. That might resonate with me. That might spur, like, for a young person, that might spur my interest in marine biology. Like, there can be these kind of knock-on effects, and people can kind of go into these kind of cultural niches and it can become a special interest for them. So there is kind of two sides to the story. But yeah, I think definitely there is a downside to thinking through the idea of virality, the kind of, like, the bad things that come with visibility.
Well, it's worth remembering, but also, like you said, it can just bring a little bit of joy, and that's such a wonderful thing as well. Dr. Kyle Moore, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you.
Dr. Carl Moore from Swinburne University speaking with me there. And that is it for this episode of The Briefing. We'd love it if you could share this ep with someone you think might enjoy it or who enjoys Moo Deng or Pesto. And if you want to keep up with our other content, you can check us out on Instagram at The Briefing Podcast. We're also on TikTok and YouTube. To find us on those platforms, search Listener Newsroom. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, do all those things. It really helps us out. I'm Sacha Barbour Gatt. See you next time.
Listener.